Hello everyone, welcome back to another video on my channel, and today we're talking about everyone's favorite sperm donor creep, Kyle. This is kind of a part 2 to my last video I made on Kyle, so if you've somehow been spared the introduction to this vomit-inducing creep, then you should probably check that video out first, so I'll link it here. And if no video popped up for you just then, you're probably in the UK, where my video on him got blocked for defamation. So, as we get into his most recent appearance on 90 Day Fiance, let's all just take a moment and remember that every statement I make in this video is a statement of my own personal opinion, and that I, as an honest person, can reasonably hold my opinion on the basis of any facts that may exist at the time. So, with that out of the way, let's get into it. After creepy Kyle meets Annie at the airport for the first time, Annie drops Kyle off at his Airbnb so the two of them can rest and get ready for their fancy dinner date they have later that night. Despite Annie being more than a little weirded out by Kyle and his stupid point system, she still wants to see how it goes and see if she can figure out what the hell's wrong with this guy.
All right, I'll see you at dinner tonight, babe. Ooh.
I'll see you at dinner tonight, babe. Ooh. Seriously, does everything this guy does have to be that weird? Now that Kyle's back at his place, we get to see him get ready for his date where he wants to look sexy.
Now, I have to look sexy.
If such a thing was even possible for him. And his way of getting ready is to throw all of his clothes into a pile in the closet like a child.
That's what you do. You don't fold them, you just dump.
And to get into his sit-ups.
I'm gonna be going into my sit-up.
I don't know if I've ever seen worse form for sit-ups, but also getting into my sit-ups is not something that anyone who's ever done any exercise would say. This is the kind of exercise a 10-year-old boy would do in front of their crush to show them how manly they are. Just desperate flailing nonsense to then just get up and be like, phew, that was tough. 1,000 sit-ups, my new record.
It's just important to stay in shape, especially for Annie. I started working out more.
Hate to break it to you, bud, it's not working, and that doesn't count. By the way, no shame to anyone who's just getting into the gym and learning how to work out. I'm just giving Kyle crap because he's a creepy little shit and I don't like him. Allegedly. So he continues bragging about how many girls have been begging to be in a relationship with him because he's so athletic and good looking and how he's always had to reject them, but explains that with Annie, it's different.
I feel like she really does accept my quirks and other things about me that other people won't accept.
That's a nice way to put it. I guess most women find me incredibly vile and repulsive would be a little too wordy, huh? So, after his exercise, Kyle's ready to pick out his outfit for dinner, and he chooses the exact same thing he's been wearing all day. You're not even gonna change after you get off a plane? Do you know how gross that is?
I think what I'm wearing is fine. Like, sure, it's a nice restaurant, but I don't think it's a big deal.
Oh my God, can you imagine if that was the same outfit he wore in the UK when he was doing his donation thing before he flew over here? Could you imagine how disgusting and disrespectful that would be? So he wanted to look sexy on his date with Annie and really wants to impress her. And his way of doing that is to do 6 whatever the hells to make his non-existent abs pop and to wear whatever gross shits he just wore on the plane. Yeah, I think that's about all we can expect from this guy. Don't actually do anything meaningful for yourself or others. Just do whatever made up nonsense that feeds your own self-grandiose image. Doesn't have to be grounded in any kind of reality, just whatever helps keep up your narcissistic facade. So Kyle shows up to dinner, looking like the pathetic slob he is, and Annie immediately goes, what?
So Kyle's outfit is, I think, the same he arrived on the airport. He didn't even change for the restaurant. I'm in shock.
Also, he probably smells bad. I mean, just look at him. You know he smells like old feet. Okay, so maybe he's an inconsiderate slob, in my opinion, but I mean, that's not the worst thing in the world, right? But then Annie's like, hey, dipshit, you're supposed to dress up for dinner, you know? And Kyle goes, dressing up? Yeah, we don't do that in America.
But he dressed up
but we don't do that in America. We do whatever.
Yeah, we do. Maybe some places are a little more laid back. You know, maybe you can wear jeans instead of slacks to the office on the West Coast, but shorts and a t-shirt to a fancy restaurant? No, bro, you're just a loser, in my opinion. By the way, I'll talk more about this later, but while one could interpret this behavior from Kyle as just evidence of his lack of understanding of social norms, and he just actually genuinely doesn't think that what he's doing is that weird, one could also interpret it as part of a pattern of gaslighting from Kyle, where he deliberately lies and misrepresents the truth to suit his needs. You know, kind of like misrepresenting the truth about natural insemination to his clients so he can pressure them into getting laid. Not that he does that, of course. I mean, just hypothetically. And he gives up and is like, okay, Americans are different, whatever. How about you just do this for me? And Kyle's like, I'll think about it.
I'll think about it.
Kinda surprised he didn't make that a point for a word, honestly. You want me to consider your feelings? That's gonna cost you points. Remember, my love and affection is entirely transactional, so you're gonna have to earn it.
Europeans, I feel like, grew up in the olden times, right? Because America's kind of a newer country. The Europeans are still in the past, like where everyone dressed up. They wore their little wigs, they wear their little gowns, and...
I can't with this guy. This dude travels the world and his plot to create the world's ugliest and least capable army of incels. And he thinks Europe is one big Victorian England cocktail party with their wigs and fancy dresses. He seems almost comically socially inept, doesn't he? Like, there's no way this guy is actually that stupid and out of touch, right? Man, wouldn't it be wild if he was actually some kind of crazy sexual predator who just exaggerates and leans into his social ineptitude just to get everyone to think he's just an innocent, awkward, neurodivergent kid to cover up his darker and more predatory motivations? Yeah, that would be crazy. Good thing that's just a completely random thoughts that just came to mind and has nothing at all to do with Kyle. Anyway, back to dinner. Annie's not a fan of Kyle's total lack of effort in his appearance, but she's also not happy that Kyle is trying to control and micromanage whatever she drinks.
No wine. Is that wine?
Yeah.
Oh no, that's not good. I told you there would be consequences for drinking.
Annie still can't believe that this guy is actually serious about this ridiculous point system.
No, I mean really, with this point system doesn't make sense.
It's a good point system.
And if you're still not sure if Kyle is being actually serious, because it is hard to imagine that someone is actually that stupid, well, rest assured, he is completely serious.
I cannot even take you serious.
Well, you should be taking this seriously right now. I mean, that's the point system for you.
Why does he even care? Sure, he doesn't have to drink if he wants to maintain his, optimal performance or whatever, but who cares if she has a glass of wine? What purpose does that serve other than to exert some more kind of control and power over her? The food finally comes and, God, does everything about him have to be repulsive? Shoving it into his face, slurping, hunched over posture, doesn't seem to know how to hold a fork. Annie's kind of mortified. Being kind of a messy eater is one thing, but Kyle is showing absolutely no social awareness.
I'm starting to realize that I maybe don't know Kyle as I thought he would be.
Yes, Annie, yes, please run away.
I'm already thinking how I'm going to find a way out of this mess.
Yes, please, Annie, trust your instincts. Run away while you still can. Oh, and he eats with his mouth open. Gross. At this point, Annie is visibly embarrassed. While he's slobbering down like a 5-year-old at the kids' table, actually he kind of dresses like a 5-year-old too. Huh. Annie is looking around like, oh my God, is anyone else seeing this right now? Am I crazy?
And I knew that he was weird. But this?
I mentioned in my last video that you should trust your instincts whenever you see someone and get that uncomfortable, vile pit feeling in your stomach. Well, what does this picture do for you? Because sure, he's eating kind of gross, but that face, those eyes, it's kind of horrifying, honestly. There's just something so deeply wrong with this picture, in my opinion. Annie politely asks him to maybe not loudly slurp rice into his face in public.
Are you doing the sauce and slurping it?
Yes, I do the slurp.
This is like only kids do
I don't want to waste food.
Don't do this.
But Kyle scoffs at such a ridiculous request, and again claims that he's the normal one and that it's actually the entire continent of Europe that's wrong and weird.
I know Europeans are all about this etiquette, but Americans, we don't do that. Because they have etiquette school in France, I believe, but we don't really do that in America. I have a French baby mama, so I know.
I got a comment on my last video on Creepy Kyle that, despite being a veteran of war, found Kyle too repulsive to finish watching the video. And I just want to say, I understand. Oh my god, I just saw food flying out of his mouth. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Not only that, this dude can't even just ask for chicken without being weird.
Would you eat your chicken?
Why you want my chicken?
No, I don't want your chicken. I want you to get big and strong, that's why. Good girl.
What the hell, dude? It's not a competition. You don't have to be as creepy and weird as possible all the time. He also keeps putting his hand on his throat whenever he eats, which I don't think is weird to do in itself, but somehow when he does it, make it all seem even weirder. And now that they've finished their food, Kyle has something to tell her.
I have to tell you something. You know how I love my back scratchers? I love those.
Okay.
And that's a requirement. Let me see your nails. They're just right. Those are what I need in my life.
More requirements of her, more demands, more you have to serve me and I then judge you on your performance. It's actually kind of difficult to react to Kyle because there's just so much wrong in every scene he's in. I feel like I'm just being constantly overwhelmed with nonsense and it's hurting my brain. But the date is over and I'm happy to report that Annie didn't like any of it.
I had really high expectations and he didn't meet any of them.
But despite Annie's clear disappointments, Kyle pretends to be oblivious and implores her to be sexy and asks her to wear a ponytail on their next date because he likes ponytails.
You're gonna look sexy tomorrow. Have a ponytail.
Ponytail?
I like ponytails.
They hug goodbye and I got some bad news for you.
I know I may sound crazy, but I still have these underlying strong feelings. And I don't know what it is.
Did your heart sink just then? Just a little? I can't say for sure what's going on with Annie, but I think what might be happening for her could be what's been happening to all of his other women. If you recall what the girl from the Vice documentary said about him.
I did put my trust in Kyle because he knows exactly what to say and how to say it over the phone. But it's the meeting him in person and actually sitting down and spending time with him that you realize like something with this guy is very, very off.
And Annie has said similar things, how great and charming he is on video calls.
Through video chat, I fall in love with a sweet, kind, cute guy. And I knew that he was weird, but this?
It could be that he is really charming online and always knows just the right thing to say, even if he's a total weirdo in person. And there are plenty of people like that. I've met them. I've even been on a few first dates with them. So these women like Annie might have a great impression of Kyle. Like, yeah, he's a little weird, but charming and innocent. While in person, he's a total weirdo and creep. So I wonder if, because they had such a good impression of him from their online experiences, that's when they first meet and get overwhelmed with all of this conflicting information about him, it may take a little while to process everything and realize, whoa, this guy is not who I thought he was. I thought he was just childish, innocent weird, but now that I think about it, he might actually be total psycho weird.
I have to get to know him better to understand why he would act super strange.
It would be great if all that processing can happen immediately, but depending on how long you've been talking online and how convincing the Kyle in this situation can be, the time between this guy's great and wait a minute, this guy's actually a maniac can vary. But there's a window, right? Whether it's 5 minutes or 5 days, there's a gap in the processing where a potential psycho could get away with their psycho behavior before people kind of realize what's up. Well, in that hypothetical situation, wouldn't it be very convenient if their entire life's meaning and sexual gratification can all be met in that short window? Say, for sake of example, of course, if you lived a nomadic lifestyle, traveling the world, meeting women, getting laid, and skipping town before anyone has the chance to catch the ick. When I was researching Kyle on the last video I did about him, I happened to watch a lot of clips of him talking over the past decade or so, and something stuck out to me. It seems to me, at least, that on 90 Day Fiance, Kyle seems a lot weirder than he used to be. His social skills seem worse, he doesn't speak as well, his facial expressions and mannerisms seem more awkward. While in the Vice documentary and the Dr. Phil episode, He certainly seemed odd, but it felt more like he was a relatively normal guy, just maybe had some extra social awkwardness and whatnot, and then, of course, a really weird hobby. I picked up loner vibes and probably doesn't know his way how to communicate or talk to a woman, but I didn't get this immediate, instant feeling like, oh my god, what the hell is this guy? He's so weird, he's so uncomfortable, there's something messed up and off with him. I didn't really get that to the same extent watching that other stuff that I do watching him on 90 Day Fiance. And maybe that change is totally natural and just a normal process of aging. Maybe he cares less to try to fit in. Maybe he spent more time online and has had years of the echo chamber experience, making him even weirder. So it could be a natural change for him. But if it was tinfoil hat time, then I would have to say, wouldn't it be clever to hide your darker motivations and character traits behind a mask of, oh, I'm just a little weird and maybe neurodivergent? No, I'm not controlling and abusive. I just don't understand social cues. I didn't mean it. No, I don't get off on power and tricking women sexually. I just don't understand how my actions affect other people. I'm innocent, I swear. Who knows? Frankly, I don't even know if I think that about him. It's just an observation that I noticed while watching old clips of him and thought that I'd throw that out there and see what you guys thought about it. That's all I got for today's video. Let me know what you thought about Creepy Kyle in the comments down below. A big thank you to all of you channel members for helping support this content and make the channel grow, with an extra special thank you to Nancy Jones for being a producer of this channel. And until next time, I'll see you later.